This year's the first year you haven't had an allotment.
No, second year.
Second year?
Last year happened as well.
Oh, did it? Are you planting anything this year in your on your windowsills?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes on your windowsill?
Herbs. Lettuce.
Oh, this is good chat, isn't it?
Oh, wow. You keep naming things.
Tuning in
It's
for
a
a
lot,
start.
isn't it? Well, we're warming up for you, all right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Under the Cloche. We're in our fictional pub, the Bell's End. Cheers. We've been here a while.
You finished yours.
Yeah, I'm almost a Guinness down.
You were the only one that got a real sized glass.
Yeah, very true. You've got little tiddlers. Speaking of Guinness,
Oh,
I went to the Devonshire, the pub in London,
Yes.
which is currently trending for the best pint of Guinness.
Yeah.
It's all hype.
yeah.
You go in, it's absolutely rammed. And because pouring a pint of Guinness takes a while, so there is a backlog. Everyone's in there. And I went in thinking, there's no way that this Guinness tastes any better than a normal pint of Guinness in London. And it did. It tasted so much better.
How?
Legit, or is it just the hype? 'Cause
I don't know.
Your mind and your placebo is already there,
It
right?
could be placebo, but then I went in anti the placebo and still left going, oh my goodness, this is actually really delicious.
So there's things like they've brought the lines and everything over from Dublin. They've come from the factory. So actually, it's not just that they're a pub that serves Guinness. It is a Guinness. I sound like a fanboy. I'm going back tonight.
Why is the pub not called the Dublin?
I'm actually going
You're
back
going tonight?
Yeah, I'm actually going back tonight.
It is that good. I'd recommend it.
And the food is supposed to be unbelievable as well, but I haven't managed to get a table.
Well, yeah, because it's rammed with people
I
buying
know.
pints of Guinness.
What's really funny was last time I went, I posted on Instagram saying I'm here, and Slater messaged me.
Ex-sorted chef.
May
Can
we
talk
make you
about him
rest in
anymore?
peace.
We've not
love him
spoken to him since he left, but he just messaged me and went, I hate how Top Jaw have made this place so popular. I loved it. And now they've made it such a hype wagon, I can't get a drink there.
It's really good. It's
They're
really good.
brilliant.
Ebbers, have you eaten anything spectacular this week? Any restaurants? Because you're always out. You're living the life that we used to live.
Yeah, just kind of.
We never lived that life.
Oh, I used to go out quite often in London when I lived here.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
How much fried chicken have you had this week, Ebbers? Because that's what Mike's really wanting you to say.
Yeah, go on.
Roe was good.
Pansino.
No.
Fish roast.
The new restaurant by the Fallow Boys.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to find somebody else to harp on about.
I know.
Because we talk about those guys too much.
Yeah, it's because there's a little love triangle going on there.
Shall we move into guest chat?
You mentioned Slater. You could segue.
Rufus Slater, is that what you mean?
Oh, that's really clever. I like it.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, speaking of Slaters, we've got a roofer in today, haven't we? On the surface, a random guest to have on a food podcast, but not, because it's the Skint cook who has a cookbook out and who's had an amazing journey. So I'm excited to listen to your chat with him.
Yeah, I can't wait. Again, going from being a roofer to being perceived in the outside world as a chef is quite a journey.
He doesn't like that.
He doesn't
He's a
like
cook.
that.
Okay.
A home cook.
Ask him about it. He doesn't like it.
all right.
Baz, are you a chef?
No.
Actually,
no.
you're the wrong person to ask.
No, I'm definitely not.
He's not a chef, he's a cook. But yeah, making that transition from the world of building and construction and that whole, is probably a stereotype, but that I have around the alpha male side of that world, into being a cook and
With a published cookbook.
Yeah.
and working with Jamie Oliver and all of that kind of stuff. That's an amazing journey.
Yeah, really interesting to hear.
Arc back 14 odd years, I feel like I was inspired by Jamie Oliver and the cookbooks growing up and like that start. So the fact that he's kind of come on a similar journey, arguably one of the most normals out there.
Apparently, he's watched our show since day dot as well.
And he still said yes to coming on the podcast.
I know.
So this is going to be a really interesting conversation. A roofer turned into a cook, working with Jamie Oliver. Make sure you listen to it all. This is us lifting the cloche on Ian Bursnall.
Ian, welcome to Under the Cloche. Are you prepared for this?
Yeah, definitely. Bring it on. Glad
You
to
sure?
be here. Yeah.
So the first thing we ask all of our guests is, it's a slightly weird one. We call it your perfect foodgasm.
It's a great way to introduce a guest, isn't it?
No,
It really
it's
is.
slightly weird. So you have to go with so picture, where are you? What have you been doing? And what's the food that gives you the ultimate foodgasm?
Well, I'll be at home.
Okay.
Very exotic, that is, isn't it? But ham, egg and chips or gum and egg and chips.
Oh,
With
okay.
pineapple. I mean, I'm not going to go for something like lobster thermidor because you have to remortgage for that, won't I?
So ham, egg and chips with a pineapple.
How many chips? Oh, ham, egg and chips.
Ham,
yeah,
egg and
say,
chips with
count
a
the
pineapple. And then what have you been doing to lead up to this moment?
chips. Cooking the ham.
Right, no,
Probably doing the glaze.
Ian, can we go back a bit further?
Yeah.
So, like, what have you? What? This is a release. This is. Frank, I needed this ham, egg, and chips in my life. What has led to this moment in time?
I've been dreaming about it all week.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to plan doing a chili con carne, but then no. Ham, egg and chips.
See, I think ham, egg and chips is one of those. It's my dad's favourite. It doesn't matter which restaurant we go to,
Yeah.
which pub. We could be anywhere in the world. All he wants is ham, egg and chips. It's a proper home comfort
Is
meal.
it? But
I love
it's
that.
one of those things as well. Like trying to explain it to anybody else outside of the UK. It's not exotic. It's not complicated. It's ham, egg, and chips.
Do the simple things in life right. You're halfway there, aren't you? And if you can titivate it a bit, so to speak. You put a glaze on the
Yeah,
gammon
yeah.
or the ham, whatever it'll be. You can make a pineapple sauce. You know, it can't not just gammon. You can ump it up a bit. You know what I mean? But,
you
it's
can't-
my lad's favourite and mine. So
But you can't go to gastropubs where they take it too far, where it's no longer
Oh, no.
ham, egg, and chips.
complicated it.
Exactly.
Simple things done right.
Well, it feels like it leads us quite nicely into you and your background because
Yeah.
I've been doing a little bit of reading on you. So your name that you've kind of come up with is the Skint Cook or the Skint Roofer.
Yeah, it was the
Cook.
Skint Roofer, but well, how it come about was I started Instagram in 2018. I think one of my sisters says, you know, you're cooking all the time, that's your passion, just put it out there. And I thought, okay then. Then there's two names I come up with, and you'll laugh when you hear them. One was, this is my Instagram name, one was Ultimate Passion and Passion Within. They sound like pornos, don't they?
A little bit.
But anyway, I went with
saucy.
Passion Within, and I had that name for a couple of years. And I thought, no, you know, I wonder why I kept getting these like friend requests from like, you know, ladies with all blonde hair and all that and lipstick.
X.X.
Yeah. And so no, I was a roofer. I was Skint, so I called myself the Skint Roofer Cooks. And then that got me onto the Jamie Oliver show a couple of years back. And then after that, we had a sort of like talk with my publisher saying we'll go with the Skint Cook because it's a bit more of a broader,
Okay.
you know, audience. So I'm glad I'm not the Ultimate Passion or Passion Within anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was wrong.
smart.
Should have been on the top shelf, shouldn't it? Somewhere.
Over 18s only.
Going back to like the term roofer, like we're very familiar with it in the UK, but again, outside of the UK, talking about roofing and the trade that you're in, can you describe it to people?
Well, yeah, obviously we fix roofs. You know, if someone's got a leaky roof, we'll go along and fix it, or give them you know, if it needs a re-roof doing, it's a total re-roof where the old one comes off and you put a new one on. Yeah, so basically just fixing roofs.
It's about how'd you get into that?
When I was about 16, my dad got me a job with one of his customers that worked for a roofing contractor in Leicester. So basically from there I sort of got into the roofing.
Have you ever worked on a building site before?
I'd love to say that I helped to build my house. Like we
Project manager.
No, I left that part to someone else. I took a couple of days off work so that I could go and do to help out. And I ended up knocking down the garage.
Nice.
fair enough.
That knocking down is the fun bit.
Yeah,
Knocking down
that's
was the
the
fun
easy
bit.
part.
But I think it was trying to build a relationship with the guys that were actually doing the real work was the fun part, but also the bit that I found really difficult because I didn't come from their
background.
world.
No,
And I think trying to build a bridge between our two worlds was quite difficult. When I was like, they were like, "Oh, you back tomorrow?" I was like, "No, we're going to go film some recipes. Actually, I've got to dress up as a dog, and we're doing an ultimate hot dog battle." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, I know.
It's a completely different world.
The thing is, the manual labour trade, it's like, it's hard graft, but it is a skilled job. And it's like, there's the assumption sometimes is it's a builder, it's easy work. It is not.
No,
Back-breaking,
definitely not.
and you need to know what you're doing.
I mean, I work for myself. I mean, I've cut back on the roofing now because of my health sort of thing. So, but when I was roofing, I mean, I used to do 7 days a week, all year round. You know, if even on I've had people ring me up on Boxing Day or Christmas Day saying you're going to come and repair a leak, and I've been out on Boxing Day and done it because you know it's money.
But a bit like weird comparison, but a bit like cooking is until you do it, it looks impossible.
Yeah.
So like again, I recently had my house done up, and knocking it down was the fun bit. But building it back up again, suddenly every step of the way, I'm looking and going, I haven't got a clue where I'd start. Suddenly these wizards walk in and start building things.
Yeah, but
and to me it's magical. But a bit like when you're watching a chef do their thing.
it's horses for courses, isn't it? I wouldn't know how to, you know, I was a roofer, I wouldn't know how to plaster. I could give it a go, but it'd look crap. It'd be all on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's, you know, anything in life, if it's new to you, practice makes perfect, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not perfect. I disagree with being perfect. Nobody's perfect, but practice makes you better.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't look at things like, oh, I could never do that. If you was doing it a couple of years, you would be doing it, wouldn't you?
So I reckon from a food perspective, like from the outsider looking into the roofing trade or any kind of building trade, I can picture in my mind what a typical day's food and drink intake looks like.
Mate,
What is it?
I personally have catered for builders.
Okay.
That wasn't what I signed up for, but basically my really close family friend, Kev, he asked me to come do some work experience for the day on the building site.
Yeah.
I was like, wicked, man, what am I doing? We'll get you bricklaying, we'll get you plastering, we'll get you doing a bit of roofing. Fantastic. You get there, first job of the day, Baz, we're going to start you over there with the plasterers. Yeah. Great. What can I do first? Tell you what, go get us a cup of tea.
Yes.
Come back with 6 teas. Steve, what are you having?
Yeah.
4 teas, 6 sugars.
You
Gotcha.
was a tea boy for the day. That's what the
I started as tea boy, but by the end of the day, I was making bacon baps.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I was getting sausage rolls from Greg's.
What site were you on?
That's a promotion, that is.
We had. Well, my background is flat roofing, not so much pitch roofing, and we were called tar babies back in the day because we used to use a hot tar.
Yeah.
And my little trick was I'd get get a potato, I'd wrap it in loads of foil, put it in the bitumen pot.
I've seen this. Yeah.
Honestly, it works. Best baked potato you'd ever have. I think about 25, 30 minutes, depending on what your tar was. You get it out, knob of butter.
That sounds perfectly hygienic.
But it was ideal because that was when I was living. I just met my partner and we just had my daughter Olivia, and we're still skint now. So that was ideal. But it was a great dinner, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
Well, you're not paying to cook it then, are you?
No.
It's already in
I don't know what the health and safety of people and the food standards would say about it, but best baked potato you'd ever have.
So what does a day's food look like on a site? Because in my mind, it is exactly what you said, Baz. It's cups of tea, loads of sugar, bacon sandwiches, maybe a full English breakfast, and then a few pints of beer at the end of the day.
Oh, definitely.
I'd say end of the day,
Friday.
3 o'clock onwards.
We'd treat itself on a Friday, all the lads would, and I'd just hang around if there was going to be some chips, because we'd have fish and chips all fry up on a Friday, because we called it Dirty Friday. And then we'd go to the pub, we'd knock off early. Well, I can't say tell me boss, that was a long time ago. He sodded off somewhere on a yacht. But so we'd definitely go to the pub. That's how I met my partner. We used to go to this. There was a pub near us called the Empire, and we'd all. But depending on where we were working around Leicestershire, but this particular time, we went to the Empire, which is near me. My partner had bought an house next to me, and she used to see me coming back every Friday, struggling to get my key in the door. And she collared me because we used to play loud music. I mean, them days it was loud. I mean, I think it was crazy loud, and we were in terraced houses. So she got the So she collared me getting in the taxi, and she says, "Turn your music down." She's really ranting and raving at me. And I said, I'm sorry, a bit sheepish. And the taxi bloke said to me, he says, "You better apologise. When you get back, apologise to better." Anyway, I did. 27 years later, I'm with her still.
Still apologising.
Still apologising. No, I'm up to peace. That's how we met. It was all through a taxi driver and now music.
That's a lovely story.
Yeah, and then we've got 2 lovely children, Olivia and Toby, and then I've got a granddaughter now, Sailor, and she just turned 1, and that's our life now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, brilliant.
Really chilled with it. You know, they're everything. But that's how we met, through loud music and taxi driver.
So going back to like the link between what you were doing as a job and then your love of food. Where did the food side come from? Why did you start caring about it?
My mum still is a great home cook. That's why I class myself as a home cook. I've been on places where people have called me chef, and I says I'm not a chef. I'm a home cook, self-taught. Don't call me a chef. Chef's been to culinary school and whatnot.
This is where we can.
Yeah.
We're on the
I'm
exact
embarrassed
same
that they call me
page.
chef.
Yeah.
I'm not a chef.
Yeah. We don't want to be classed as chefs.
No.
We don't need that stigma attached to us. We have enough crap of our own to deal with.
Exactly.
We always say that today. We still have like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Can you find yourself like in rooms with like at food events, some of the greatest chefs around, and we're in there going, we do not belong at all.
You do. Everyone belongs everywhere, don't they? It's just that knobheads, they think they're above you, don't they? But, so my mum was a great cook, still is. So there was 7 in the family. There was me, my sister, and my 2 brothers, and my mum and dad. My 3 brothers, should I say? I'm forgetting one out. He's in Australia. And she used to do big home cooking for like casseroles. No, that's the wrong word. That's a posh word. Stews. Toad in the old big classics, but she made them stretch for 7 of us. My dad were out grafting 60, 70 hours a week. So anyway, I got that that probably rubbed off on me. Then I moved out from the family home at about the age of 17, 18 to the terraced house down Newfoundland, which is in Leicester. My mum gave me a load of pots and pans, still got them. And she scribbled like a load of recipes down on, with a pen and paper, because there were no like Facebooks or texts. I don't even think I had a mobile phone. No, I didn't. So it was either learn to cook or eat. We're still learning now. Everyone's still learning, aren't they? But anyway, I used to do this dish called turbo pork, and the lads would come round on a Friday. It was pork dish.
Yeah.
But there was this cider, I think they've banned it now. It was called Turbo. It was like paint stripper. There weren't an apple in sight, but we went in.
Yeah.
I think I went down the butcher's. I remember we had the worst syrup ever. I looked like one of them Lego men with like a, when you put the Lego air on, it's just stuck there. His syrup was like that. It was like jet black. It was about 70. And
sounds like Ebbers.
I don't know what cut of pork I had. I just said, give me some pork.
Yeah.
So that went in with the turbo cider and probably a few carrots and I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'd do it, we'd have it, and the lads around, and they loved it. I don't know if it's because we were all and all that, but they loved it. So they've got a pat on the back, and it gives you a buzz, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So every Friday the lads would come round, I'd cook them some scran, and then I just fell in love with it. And I've been cooking ever since.
So did any of your mates feel the need to go, you know what, I need to do this at home myself, or they're relying on you purely for the delicious food?
Only on a Friday, then you could get a freebie, couldn't they?
Right, okay, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got paid Friday, I was skint Monday, that was their fault, sorry. Cut that out as a swear word. But anyway, I've kept, I get passionate about boiling an egg, and that daft as it sounds, I do.
I think that's the thing. Some of the recipes you do on like TikTok or social media, you do some like relatively complex dishes, but a lot of really, really basic stuff with just a few little kind of like skint hints and tips in there.
Just pimp it up a little bit. You can if your store cupboard's stocked up, you can take anything to a different level, can't you? Just with spices alone. Okay,
well, then what's your store cupboard at home? What are your most used condiments?
I do a lot of, obviously you got your garlic powder. Obviously use fresh garlic, but when I'm doing I'm a big passionate about barbecue. So if I'm doing a barbecue, it'll be like onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika. All the staples. If you're doing a curry, like a curry sort of like chicken or something, you got all your cumin and everything in there, coriander, everything's in there. I've probably got about 3 of each. I've got to sort it out. But people say all your spices go off. If you use them enough, they don't go off. So stock your store cupboard up, and you can, a basic fried egg, you can take it to the next level.
The bit I don't get that's not cheap. Like getting a decent store cupboard, the outlay is quite a big outlay.
But what you do bits at a time. Every other week you buy a couple of powders, or spices. Or if your birthday's coming up or Christmas, get your friends and your family, say, get me a couple of spices. I'll be happy with that. Pour me, instead of getting me a soggy cake or something, get me some spice. It's you're going to use them, aren't you, if you're passionate.
Yeah. So how did it go from cooking for your mates on a Friday night to being a contestant on a cooking show with Jamie Oliver, which then led to a published cookbook? Because that's that's a hell of a journey to go on. And we've had similar experiences, and as soon as you talk to anyone about it, it doesn't feel like real life.
It's crazy. I'm pinching myself still now looking at that. That's my book. I'm an author. I've been called worse, but I'm an author, aren't I? And
Absolutely.
I just don't look at myself like that. But so what it was, I was on Instagram with the name The Skint Roofer at the time, not Passion Within. And this production company messaged me on Instagram, said, we're doing a new TV show, blah, 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 and it involves a cookbook. Didn't mention Jamie Oliver's name or anything at that sort of time. And I thought, is this... I looked at it, and I just lost one of my best friends through COVID. So they contacted me, and I looked at it. I said, do you mind sending a video in and explain how your cookbook, how you would like it to be? I thought, I can't be doing it. Is it a scam? Is it this, that, the other?
Yeah.
And anyway, I thought, so I woke up one day and I sent this video in, and it was ropey as... I looked like death warmed up, and Anyway, they liked it. I thought, oh yeah, they must see something. And then you probably know the process. You go through so many emails, live chats. I had to do some cooking demos live from the kitchen to the producers and that. And halfway through, they said, this, that, the other. And then they mentioned Jamie Oliver's name. Then I thought, he's big, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is serious then. Anyway, long story short, got to the show. Went on the first one. Thought, just want to get past the first round. I didn't think, no way I'm going to get... just want to do my best, get past, be yourself. What you see is what you get is what you see. Try to be someone else, you're just going to fail. So I beat myself, and I got through the first round. I thought, then got through the next round, then the next round, then ended up in the final. This is unreal. Got to the final, didn't win it. I came joint second with a nice lad called Rex. He's a nice lad. Well, they're all nice people. Dominic won it. She's a nice girl. But then looking back, I'm glad I didn't win it. Reason being, I got to where I wanted. I kept saying to myself, get further. And the more exposure you get, that's priceless, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I got to the final and didn't win it, as you know. Anyway, I was inundated after that with book offers, this, that, the other. And then Lisa from HarperCollins, I nearly missed it because I kept getting these hundreds and hundreds of texts a day, as you can imagine, just off the back of a series, and I couldn't keep up with them. And then I was looking through them about 3 weeks later, and this Lisa's text come up. She was one of the top publishers at HarperCollins, one of the gaffers. So, are you willing to chat in, blah, blah, blah. I thought, dead right I am. So I got in touch with her, and she says, I want to offer you a book deal. It's a little funny story, because she was watching the show with her children, and all the children apparently wanted me to win that show, but she didn't want me to win it because she wanted to publish me, because the prize was...
You'd go through Jamie Oliver's publisher instead,
which is Penguin.
Oh, right, okay.
So she was hoping that I didn't win because she wanted...
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It was just quite a good story.
It's a bit like One Direction.
Go on.
I started a band called The Wrong Direction once. Didn't get anywhere. I kept going round in circles.
One Direction didn't win.
Yeah.
The X Factor,
Right.
did they? They came second. But what that
Yeah.
means is it opens them up to get lots of different opportunities because they didn't
Exactly.
Didn't they get
pushed
signed by
into
Simon Cowell, though?
Yeah, I think he still did. But it's that whole thing of actually sometimes
You've got
not
options.
winning is the better route
Yeah.
Cool.
to go.
Was that your rule at school in sports?
No, that's
Yeah,
right.
you
though.
get noticed more, don't With that process of the TV program being filmed and knowing that it does have like a 6-month window until it actually comes out, how many people did you tell that you were going through that process? Because compared to your previous life as a roofer and stuff, suddenly being whisked off to go and film with Jamie Oliver and be part of this big TV production, that's a massive
Yeah, you had to keep your
difference.
Your gob shut.
Yeah, how'd you keep your head
It
screwed
is
on?
hard. I mean, people know you're on the show, and they know you got through to the next one. They're always saying, "How far did you get? How far?" And you're like, "Oh, I just
can't do it. I can't
piss
say
off."
anything. Yeah,
because I'll slip, but I don't. I'm quite strong-minded, but I think they did say if you let things slip, you I don't know what they were going to do.
they can't cut you out if you're in the
Well,
final.
no, I don't know. Probably sue us.
I feel like as a product, as the Skint Cook as a brand,
Yeah.
it does follow the same sort of path as Jamie Oliver did in terms of when you talk to people overseas about Jamie Oliver, their assumption is they fell in love with him because he broke the mould, especially in America,
he's
of
massive,
the very straight-laced chefs.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got the naked chef
Yeah.
kind of doing what he wants, and he's the normal man.
Yeah.
The normal man now has evolved massively over time, and suddenly now there's so many different versions of normal. I think you as the Skint Cook, what you represent. There's nobody in the chefy cookie world doing what you do, doing like approaching recipes from the way you do as well.
Yeah, it's the sort of stuff I've cooked day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, year out for friends and family. I can do more complex stuff, but the whole idea of the book is to get people to fall in love with cooking if they've never done it before, no matter what age or whatever. And like I say, going back to the pat on the back, if they can do something out of there and it's just pimped up slightly, just by, I think there's a recipe, and just by putting some lemon zest in the oven for 10 minutes and then make a dust out of it with salt and pepper and whatever, and put it on some chicken, it's not hard, is it?
No.
But it takes it just that little notch up, and your friend or your partner or whoever is going to say that was bang on, you get a buzz. Same with anything. If you were doing the plastering or the roofing, if you're an apprentice and you've done one of these things for the first time and your gaffer says, well done, not put you down, he says, well done, you're going to do it again, you're going to give him 100%, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's exactly what I found with cooking, like over the years, learning more and more about food. The biggest changes when you serve something up to someone and they go, wow.
That's a buzz.
The biggest changes are the simplest ones. And you go, oh yeah, I just squeezed some lemon to that. Or we used some fresh herbs on that. Or I used miso instead of
It's a simple
X.
thing, isn't
It's
it?
really, really simple things, but they're the ones that make the biggest difference when people are eating it. And it's that's been the biggest revelation to me, because like you say, that buzz that you get when you serve, I always find if I've spent like a long time cooking something, I don't know if you're the same, if I've spent a long time cooking something, I put a load of effort into it, I put it down on the table, I don't want to eat it. I feel like I've already been eating. Maybe I have been eating it as it's been cooking. But I kind of get to that bit where that feels like a finished piece to me. I'm so happy to serve it to other people that I don't enjoy the eating part as much.
I sometimes don't enjoy. I don't get enough satisfaction from watching other people eat my food. Like I'll spend a lot of time making food for somebody, and I'm almost gutted when they scoff it down.
Yeah.
So I'm going, no,
They
stop.
don't realise what effort you put in, do they?
Time that blooming lamb shank took to make. And it goes. It thinks it's the
Can
biggest.
you taste the harissa?
I know, it's the biggest compliment. It gets scoffed down, and really, that was the last time I did that was for my builder mate and his family, and they're not really foodies. I think he survives mostly on chicken and chips,
Yeah.
but when I served in this wonderful Moroccan tagine, perfectly spiced, he went, that's decent.
Yeah.
And he polished it off. I was like, great, thanks. But I was kind of hoping for some more
How do you do it? What do you put into it? This, that, the other. You want
This was supposed to be a life-changing moment for you, and you just scoffed it.
feedback. You want some positive feedback, don't you?
Yeah. But then I think he'd like, in that situation, I should have served him the best ham, egg and chips he's ever had. And that would have been an easier
He'll
way
be
of...
talking about that forever.
Exactly.
Well, it's either that, or he's going to go, it's not real ham, egg and chips, though, is it, Baz?
No, that's a fancy version.
Or is it? Yeah.
Your posh version.
Yeah.
So we worked with Jamie Oliver a little bit throughout the years as well.
Yeah.
We helped him launch his YouTube channel when it first came around. What was that, 10 years ago, something like that. And we had a lot of fun with him on set, when we were filming. Particularly when the cameras weren't rolling.
Let's do this story.
Yeah, he's different. He's better off camera, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he's on camera, like he's the family man. He's so polished. He's beautifully
I know where you're
spoken.
going.
And every now and then you might get a pucker. Nowadays you don't get a pucker because he hates that word. But you might get a few oohs and ahs. But when the cameras turn off, suddenly his lips loosen.
Did I read somewhere that he burnt your toast?
Yeah, on one of the shows, it was a section called Chop and Chat. It was meant to be like rigged up to say you're on this morning doing a 15-minute demo live, and I was doing that, and anything there's put some toast in for me and all that, and he literally burnt the toast. I says, 25 years in the game and you burnt me toast.
Because I still think he's actually, as soon as the cameras stop rolling, he's more he's more normal. Like he's just been in front of the camera for so long now.
Yeah,
he's so
he knows,
polished.
Well, the thing is, it felt to us, because we were doing YouTube, it felt like he'd been, I don't know, he's so polished on TV.
Yeah.
It felt like doing YouTube, he was actually let off the leash a little bit. There weren't all the restrictions, and he was able to play a bit more. And there were quite a few bits that we got on camera where we were recording, and it was only afterwards his mate Rich that worked with him just came up to us like, you know you can't use like half of that, and we're like, which bits? It's like, you know exactly which bits you can't use.
We'll have to slip this into the edit somewhere, but can we play the clip of why he likes Ben so much?
I would really enjoy if we could play that clip.
Why does he like you so much?
So he likes. So there's a wonderful.
Ben, so yeah.
There's a wonderful clip where we are. We're like, so tell us about what you think of Ben. And he goes,
I like Ben. He's the kind of boy you'd want your daughter to marry, because you know that they'd never have sex.
which I think is wonderful.
Yeah. And also, he's not allowed near playgrounds. It was
Yeah.
The whole, after coming off the back of the show, all Jamie's HQ and the because it was a joint production. I think it was Oliver's production with, I think it may have been Plum Pictures, I think. But anyway, the aftercare was brilliant.
Really?
It still is. It's brilliant.
It's really nice to know, because I think a lot of time, particularly when it comes to like reality shows, there's always that kind of stigma that actually there's a lot of stuff done on camera, and then the cameras turn off.
Yeah.
See you later.
No,
off you go.
Far from it. They were brilliant. You know, even I could ring them up now about some emails. So you know, no, absolutely brilliant.
So now you're an authored cook.
Is that a word, authored? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Sorry, I don't know.
Don't give me a complex. I'm not confident in these things, but I'm going to say yes.
We'll just nod along.
Yeah, sure. So, like, you are now in amongst many other cooks and chefs with cookbooks. How do you think you would fare if you were to walk into a kitchen and asked to produce a dish for a restaurant now? Because we have sleepless nights about that.
I'll be myself.
Exactly. That's really comforting to know.
Oh, I would.
What would you, if you had that chance, what would you make?
You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Lobster thermidor. No, I don't know. I'd see what they've got, what they've got in stock and that, and just think about it for a few hours before. Well, it is. It's daunting, isn't it? You know, I'm a home cook. I'm not a chef. Blah blah. You go into somewhere, and it's same when you're cooking at home and stuff. And mind you, I did this show, which was a bit daunting, but. You know, it's daunting for the home cook, isn't it? To go in a restaurant and... I've come up with something.
But I think that's what for me, that's been like the amazing thing about social media. It's democratised that world of, you know, chefs have always been on this pedestal up here, and it's always been, you know, a TV programme has always been a chef telling you, this is how you cook lobster thermidor. Yeah. There is only one way to do it. And it was what inspired us in the early days of going, well, we've got a mate who's a chef. Yeah. That's great. Let's bring him down a peg or two. How do you feel about black pudding?
It's only recent, in the last few years, I've actually started liking it, believe it or not.
Yeah?
Probably the last 5 years.
Why didn't you like it beforehand?
I think it's the old, what everyone says it's made out of blood, but...
Aren't we all?
Yeah, we all. I think that did put me off, you know, for a bit. Well, but now I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
All right, so we're in our pub, and so we thought it'd be really nice to have some pub snacks. Yeah. So what we've got is, I don't know what kind of pub this is turning into, but we've got some black pudding bonbons.
Gastropub. This is.
We're a little bit. We're home comforts, but we are a little bit pretentious.
I mean, I was expecting some salted peanuts and.
I was looking for
cheese and onion cob.
Yeah, scampi fries.
Clean film with no date on it.
Yes.
Just trust.
Good old days.
Well, help yourself with some bonbons.
Cheers.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
You know what would be nice than that? Little quail's egg.
They've got bacon in it.
Baz. So we
beautiful.
just talked about us being a little bit too pretentious in a pub, and you want to add a quail's egg into the middle of that.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No.
Would you ever turn down a Scotch egg?
Well, no, of course I would.
Actually, my recipe for Scotch egg in there has got black pudding in it. I'll have another one of them. They're nice.
But again, the black pudding's just one of those ingredients that it's so cheap, because it is. It's pig's blood, oats, and delicious seasoning. it's a great money saving
But
meat to use.
it's versatile as well. I mean, it can, especially goes well with pork, doesn't it, and stuff. But yeah, they're beautiful. They are.
So can we play a little game?
I ain't playing Twister. I ain't.
Tom,
Did that on New Year's Eve, naked.
Tom,
away.
put the baby oil away. We're not doing that one today.
You got the leotards.
We can play that one later, Tom.
I tell you, I'm not as supple as I used to be.
Evans, put your clothes back on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, supper or not, don't think this one should matter. Let's throw back and forth skint hints and tips.
Okay.
Skint versus sorted, okay?
And if we get bored, we've always got Twister to fall back on.
Exactly.
Or throw these balls across to each other.
Yeah, okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Always look for the yellow sticker, the reduced sticker.
Smart, end of aisle. Make your own compound butters.
That's quite a posh one.
That's a posh one, that is.
Saving money, reducing like don't waste your herbs.
We've got-
make them last
Well,
longer.
they're using Lurpak. Jeez.
We can use utterly butterly if you want to.
Yeah, Lurpak. You need that's full.
Okay, fine, you go.
Flavour bombs. Easy one. Get a pot of miso or a pot of gochujang, something like that can just add an absolute wow to your dish.
Yeah. If there's loads of reduced veg, carrots, all that sort of stuff, broccoli and all that, you can blanch it, refresh it in cold water, freeze it, and you can use it in the next 3 or 4 months. So you can buy a load of that. So that's, good for anything, soups, stocks, just roast it up, whatever, Sunday roast and all stuff like that.
Yep.
Baz, can you redeem yourself? When you get quail's eggs...
Batch cooking. Rather than cooking just for 1 or 2 or 4, cook for 20, freeze it, next.
Lovely. Are you coming to me now?
Yeah, we're going
Okay,
round.
perfect.
You're competitive now.
Buying reduced bananas that are going out and then freeze them, and then you can peel them first, and then you can make just blend them up. You can make like a banana ice cream,
That
dairy
wasn't
free.
your one. I saw that in a comment. You've stolen that from a comment
I
somewhere.
have stolen that from a comment, but I'm bringing it to a larger audience.
I know tinned vegetables last forever, but if they have got any coming to the end of the day, because everyone's got tinned vegetables at the back of the cupboard, isn't there? You can do the same. You can blanch them up and refresh them and freeze them as well. Eh?
Oh, this is what I did the other day. I'm not proud of myself, but rather than making yourself one day babies on toast and then a sausage sandwich the next day, what you can do is you can buy the Heinz bacon and sausage tins. You pick sausages out, and you've got a sandwich as one.
So you've got two dishes.
Sausage sandwich, and then you've got beans on toast. All you got 2 meals in one.
Yeah.
What are you on?
Yeah.
I did that the other day. I opened the sausage and beans tin, and I went, do you know what? I really fancy a sausage sandwich. I could do this. So I made a sausage sandwich.
By picking out the sausages from a tin of beans?
Yeah, and I had that for breakfast, and then I had beans on toast with the rest of it for tea.
That's genius.
Yes! Thank you!
It's that.
Are you getting less beans? Because
you're
your
getting
tin
the
of
same amount
beans
of
is
food.
half full of sausages.
But a tin of beans is too much for one person. But a tin of beans and sausages, you take the sausages out as one portion, beans for second portion.
I don't think you should do these tips anymore.
No,
I don't.
I know. I've been named the pretentious prince for a reason. Any more golden
again, when you're saying batch cook, if you've got the barbecue on, bit more batch cooking, then you can put that in the fridge, and then you can have cold cuts all week. Take some, I don't know, barbecue chicken sandwich to work. It beats a soggy cheese and ham sandwich, doesn't it? A floppy one. So he makes it work and be like, I said, well, yeah, I cooked it the weekend.
So let's talk about your love of barbecue. So what kind of barbecue are you into?
Oh, here we go. You're achieving a barbecue one.
No, I've
So you go eat your quail's eggs and Heinz sausage sandwiches over there. We'll talk about barbecue.
Yeah, it's simple. I do a chicken char siu that's in. I don't know how you pronounce it. Char siu, char siu. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's the way I
how you
pronounce
pronounce it. That's better.
So that's in there. I've done a tender, but all stuff again using your spices out the cupboard and that, and various of different, some sauces and whatever to, not shot. When I say char siu's got like soy sauce and stuff in, not and hoisin sauce, stuff like that. But basic. I mean, I've been fortunate. Last year, a company called Pit Boss sent me 3 barbecues and like real decent bits of kit. I'd never been able to afford them. On one of them, you can smoke meat in it. Mm-hmm. So I'm up in my smoke meat game in them a bit. But feed a family, in the crowd and that, like Mexican style street corn and stuff. Just easy stuff, but tasty.
Yeah. Absolutely, you're talking my language now.
Yeah.
Since we went to the US, we've been to the US a few times to do sort of the barbecue, low and slow kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it.
It's beautiful.
And people think I fell in love with it because it's the meat side of things. Actually, I fall in love with it because it's so easy.
Yeah.
And people don't realise that it's the simplest food to cook. It just requires time. And that's all it is. And even doing it in, I did a pork shoulder in the slow cooker on Sunday. And I just diced an onion and some garlic and squeezed an orange into the slow cooker, put a pork shoulder in there and left it for 8 hours.
Is it more cost effective as well? Because you're like cooking a massive lump of meat for a big crowd.
Pork shoulder is one of the best cuts value for money, isn't it? Although that's gone up a lot. I know that. I'll get a big loin of pork and I cut them up into individual chops. So you can do whatever size or thickness you want. Yeah. And then you can freeze them, and then that's cheaper to buy the whole loin and cut them up. You're not paying someone to cut them up for you.
Oh, gotcha.
So we do that. And then you can govern what size. If you're a greedy porker like me, you can have a good. You go into the supermarket, you don't get a chop any thicker than half an inch, do you?
It's like steaks, isn't it?
Yeah. You want probably an inch or something.
So as a tip in itself is go to the butcher's, buy a big chunk of meat, and then chop it into different sizes depending on what you want to use it for.
Again, with chicken, if you learn how to, chop a chicken up, butcher a chicken, it's cheaper than buying individual cuts.
Yeah, we do that all the time now.
Yeah, I do it a lot. I quite enjoy it because I'd like to do a butchery course, to be fair, because I'm quite interested in that. But obviously, I'm learning off YouTube and that. But I'm quite good at that, just butchering a chicken now, and I enjoy it, and I know I'm getting more value for money.
So the thing is, you've only been the Skint cook for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
As a career change, it's been a very short career so far, but there's so much ahead of you. What's in mind next? What are you working towards, do you think?
I'd love it if I got another book deal, depending if that does well or not. I do not know. That would be nice. If I could just make a living out of doing what I'm doing. If I can make a living out of my hobby, it's a no-brainer. If I can pay the mortgage and the bills, I'm happy. Anything more is a bonus.
I think that's amazing because I find even in what we're doing, we're always pushing ourselves to look at what next year, what could we be doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are so flipping lucky to be coming and doing something that we love.
Yeah, look, that's it.
And we're paying the mortgage. Yeah. That's just out of this
that's
world
all I can ask
dream
for.
scenario.
That's all
I think,
I can ask for.
That's brilliant.
Honestly, and that's the truth.
I feel like that is the perfect way. And I think there's a quote at the end of the intro to your book where you talk about if you don't chase your dreams, they're not going to chase you.
No, they don't. If you sit back and dream, you got to chase your dream. They're not going to come and chase you, are they? I'm so blessed that I'm sitting here with you guys. I mean, if it wasn't for that show, I wouldn't be doing none of this. I wouldn't have a book. I wouldn't have gone in OK magazine, which is a brilliant magazine. Hello, I've been in the Sunday. I've been, all these things. It's just surreal.
And it comes back to saying yes as well. So you got that text from the production company. Yeah. You weren't in the right frame of mind to do it. You didn't think you had a chance, but you said yes. You gave it a go, and one thing leads to another.
It does.
One last question we've got to ask you is there, I think I know the answer to this, but is there one dish that you feel like you would want to pass on to everybody else saying you've got to cook this before you die? Not eat, but cook.
There's a couple. I mean, I'll give you another. There's ham, egg and chips. Then there's chili con carne. My mum used to do that really, 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 really well. Then I've dedicated one of my mum's recipes in the book. It's called bacon roly-poly. And she did it when we were kids growing up. It's like suet. And you've got bacon, like lardons in there, onion. It's very basic, but she'd roll it up and then she'd serve it with a mashed potato and tinned tomato soup.
Oh, okay.
It's banging.
Is that the badger?
It does sound like a bacon badger.
I don't know. Is that another word?
It's
suet.
Bedford badger. Leicester's a bit further north than Bedford.
It's very basic, but it brings back so the memories. And in the tomato soup, it was tinned tomato soup. She just put something like... it's in there. I think it's their original recipes in there. I think I just added a bit more seasoning. She put a tablespoon or a tablespoon of milk in the soup. That was it.
I
But
love
it
that.
makes the difference.
So the one dish you encourage everybody to go and make
Yeah,
is
my
a
mum's bacon roly-poly. Yeah, my mum's
roly-poly.
bacon roly-poly.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that.
amazing.
And there's another one which is my Granny D's egg custard. I've called it Granny D's weekender because Grandma Dunkley, she used to do as an egg custard every weekend. So I've dedicated, this is the last recipe in the book actually, there's another one in there, you've got to try Granny D's weekender.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Ian, thank you so much for coming
thanks
in.
for having me.
This has been brilliant, and I've mainly loved how much we've taken the piss out of Baz,
Yeah.
because it's nice to have someone else on board with
He's
that.
used to it.
I know. Thank you so much, mate.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.